Poetry from Beyond presents Salvation Cave by Johnny Cash. After posting the last video featuring Chris Christopherson's message titled, "Please tell them how the story ends," I got some stern rebukes from church folks warning me not to speak to the dead, to which I totally agree with and which the Bible forbids. However, in that video, I highlighted the fact that Jesus said that God is not the God of the dead, but of the living. I then gave examples of how the living spirits of the believers are sometimes sent to minister to those living on earth. Someone then wrote to me and added another example, what could have been a departed spirit pleading with Paul in a vision to come over to Macedonia. And why else would John teach us how to test the spirits before listening to them? John doesn't tell us not to listen to them, but he teaches us how to discern the spirits. Folks, earth is heaven's main concern, especially in these last days, and we all need to become mature Christians who can reach into the spirit world and responsibly connect to the powerful resources that heaven has to offer. And part of those resources are the talents and skills that had been handed to the godly departed while they were still on earth. They still have those gifts, for the gifts and calling of God are without repentance, meaning that God doesn't withdraw them or ask for them to be handed back. All the talents that God gives to us are meant to be used for the glory of God. Seeing we are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses, the spirits of the godly departed, then why should we restrict them from communicating with us because of our unbelief? Following is an example of what can happen when we know how to remain receptive to the godly departed, the souls of believers who are now present with Jesus. The moment I saw this picture of Johnny Cash, I could hear Johnny's distinctive, deep-toned voice speaking from beyond. It needs to be explained here that the spirit world doesn't need to communicate with the volume and intensity that we humans are accustomed to hear. The spirit world can communicate and does communicate mind to mind, and the experience can be likened to the volume and intensity of a tune of a song that lingers in the mind long after we have heard it on the radio. Johnny said, "You see this tired old body, broken and depraved? I have travelled some from my moment in the cave." Immediately I prayed to Jesus and tested the spirit to see if it was the voice of Johnny Cash that I was hearing. Also, I knew nothing about Johnny's salvation experience, and so I had to research it online. After being convinced that it was really Johnny Cash and that he had something important to say, I asked Jesus to allow Johnny to speak. With that explained, following is what Johnny had to say as I heard clearly the tone and canter of his distinct voice. I hope that you have the same experience as you read Johnny's poetry, because words are spirit and they are life. In 1967, Johnny Cash wanted to end his life, but instead came to his salvation in Nickajack Cave, Tennessee. Salvation Cave. In the darkness I saw the light. You see this tired old body, broken and depraved? I have travelled some from my moment in the cave. In the darkness I saw the light, brighter than the sun, when I met my Redeemer and we became as one. But things are no longer as they seem since I have come away, for I am much younger than before since my moment in the cave. I entered in, a weary man, tired from running from the man, the truth, the life, the way. But there I ran into his arms, from my moment in the cave. Now he's lifted me on high, a saved, immortal soul, and here I stand to serve my King, no longer getting old. So, to those still living life on earth, feeling decrepit and depraved, let me offer some advice. Find your own salvation cave. Enter in and stay a while, until your spirit eyes adjust, so in the darkness you may see the same light I put my trust. You see this tired old body, broken and depraved. I have travelled some since my moment in the cave.